Hold on, we're reaching out to Bry. I don't have my dialing music ready, Andy. Thank you. Okay, good.
Hello.
Hey, Bry, how are you? Hello?
All right, Tyler, my voice is partially gone here, but...
It's okay. We love you for more than your sexy voice, Bry. Listen, we wanted to catch up with you. I appreciate you talking to us. I know that you've been having a grueling day, having to deal with this absolutely crazy situation. For those of you who don't know, Bry Loyst is the curator of the Indian River Reptile Zoo, and he is currently at the facility, or was at the facility, helping to arrange for their collection to be transported or moved around as necessary. So, Bry, why don't you tell us what you saw up there today as best as you can? I know that you're working with the authorities and therefore can't really elaborate on a lot of things, but from what you can tell us, just explain to us what it was you saw when you got there.
I think it would be easier if you ask me questions.
Okay.
And then I'll answer when I can. I think that would be probably better.
That's fine.
And I can only answer what I've been told or what I've seen, and only some of the above.
That's all we would want, Bry, is your firsthand observations or what it is that you've been informed with, So when you got there, I'm assuming that the investigation was over at the actual facility?
The RCMP investigation on the scene was over, and the ministry's investigation was about, I don't know how many hours into it.
All right. That was continuing on. So you got there. When you arrived there, in what capacity did you arrive? What were you there to do?
We were there to come identify what was there, and then look at their lists and find out what was not allowed in the province of New Brunswick, and move it the hell out of there.
All right. And what kind of animals did you encounter there, both legal and illegal, if you can elaborate?
Oh, well, it's a lot larger place than I ever thought it would be, that's for sure. There's so much different kinds of fish, and oh my goodness, it was huge. Like, we were there for like a long time. Like, they wore us out because their warrants were going to expire, so everything was on a rush time limit, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And they had to bring us all the way from here, all the way, it's almost, I don't know how many hours it was. It's been hell, do you know what I mean?
Right.
And it's going to be obviously hell for the community, hell for the zoo community. I just heard today that the Zoo Association has hired a spokesperson already, a lobbyist. Mm-hmm. They've already had them this year. These laws were already coming up in Canada. Now they're just going to be fast-tracked. Well, I hope not, but in my opinion. Anyways, ask again. So.
No, sorry. Go ahead.
I listened to a few...
Go ahead.
I'll just say a couple more things. I haven't had time to really listen to the news all that much. I've just been, they're like vultures all after us. I haven't even been able to, my phone like ringing double line constantly for hours. Kyle's the same thing. We're both on the phones, and we can only repeat what we've been told till we got here. Okay, so now you ask.
What were you told to say? I mean, I know you've been speaking to a lot of other media as well. I mean, what are you told to say with regards to your opinion on, what you saw when you got there?
Well, we weren't told to do anything with the crime scene, mm-hmm. but we had, free roam of the whole building to identify and look through the whole place. And supposedly everything was more or less left there. Like, obviously they left with evidence,
right.
But a lot of things like the mattress, the foam pad that the kids were sleeping on was still there.
They were sleeping on a foam pad on the floor.
And yes, there was blood on it.
Right. And as far as the location of the enclosure, did you see the enclosure that the snake was housed in?
Yeah, sure did, and everyone has. It's the cage that's on one of the newspaper articles I could see on my cell phone. Or Kyle's cell phone. When we were driving, the kids are having like a party inside the cage.
Yeah, we've seen that picture.
That's from what we were there like this whole time. So And we were still going, how the fuck do you get downstairs again? And getting lost. There's so many corners and rooms, and like we ended up kind of figuring it out, but we'd still make the wrong turn sometimes trying to go downstairs or upstairs. There's 3 floors, 2 bedrooms in the front, and then the rest is just all aquariums and animals.
What was the proximity between the cage, the python's cage, and the area where the mattress, where the foam mattress was on the floor? Like, how far apart were they?
I'm closing my eyes. Unless it was moved, which I don't think it was, because there was nowhere really to move it. I'd say maybe 8 feet.
Wow. And were there doors in between them?
Cage.
Was there a barrier in between them? Like a door?
A barrier?
Yeah, like a door. Was there a door in between them at all? Or, I mean, was it a straight
There
shot?
was a great solid door. The cage was solid as hell, except it had a regular bathroom fan in most washrooms. It had one of those. And that was removed.
I see. I mean, is it something that now this snake, do you think a snake did you actually get to see the snake at all? No, right?
I still couldn't even tell you if it's really a rock python. I'd like to know who identified. I'm not going to question that. Well, I don't know. I don't know who identified that snake. I can only assume that the vet that euthanized it.
No, being somebody from the reptile community, being somebody from the reptile community that obviously was involved with this at the request of the authorities, who else have you been working with as far as in the reptile community? Like, who has had access or is assisting the police with this?
Great question. I don't know. The RCMP asked me a few questions in the beginning, told me a few things, and tried to get me out there. So,
and as far as you know, did you actually? I mean, there were bite marks. Were you told there were bite marks?
See, I'm going to answer that question. One reporter, I've talked to everybody. I've talked to, well, not everybody, but a few people. I've talked to Jim Harrison. I've talked to Terry Phillips, and all the herpers, a lot of the main herpers are asking really great questions. Like I don't want to ask these same questions. I'll tell you, one reporter was here, and he asked what the kids look like, and he, I don't even know how to put it, but he was like ran out of town. You don't ask what someone looks like in a situation like this. Like, everyone is so upset about these, and I'm like, they're kids, you know what I mean?
Right.
The world wants to believe it was the snake. That's what the RCMP is saying did it. And you don't really ask, you know what I mean? You can't ask stuff like that. So the only way the world's going to get a real answer is if this guy gets charged and it goes to court, and then that autopsy report, the gruesome details, if there are gruesome details. Now, I can tell you an RCMP officer did tell me, because I phoned him back in the middle of the night because I couldn't handle not asking him the question. I had to know, is there bite marks? Like, I wanted to know, you know what I mean? I couldn't handle it.
Sure.
Phoned him back and I asked him, he said yes, on both kids, to my ear. Did I ask where? No. Did I ask how much blood? No. I didn't ask those. I didn't want to, I already phoned him at, 11 o'clock at night. That was enough, trying to, I don't want to question the RCMP. So there was definitely blood, and there was definitely blood when I was there.
You saw blood?
I don't know.
Where did you see blood?
Yeah, definitely. I saw blood.
Where?
I saw blood on the bed.
On the bed?
On a mattress.
Were there 2 separate mattresses, or were the boys sleeping on one big mattress?
And then that's a great question. I don't know where the kids actually were. I hear different things. I've heard there were 3 kids on the mattress, on the foam pad, which they're people call it a mattress. It was a foam pad.
Right.
I've heard there are just the 2 kids stuck there. I don't know these answers. We may never know these answers except those 2 kids and that snake.
Right.
Or whatever the case. We may never know these things. How are you going to really know what happened if you weren't there when it happened? Whatever happened.
Now, did you see?
Ask more.
I know a lot of reports that come out have stated that the snake crawled through some kind of ventilation duct and fell through a ceiling. Did you see the hole in the ceiling? And was it in proximity to where these kids were sleeping?
Oh, I saw a hole in the ceiling, and I'm no forensic expert, that hole looks like it's been falling down for 100 years.
Right.
Didn't look, in my opinion, there's no way the snake fell through the ceiling, and it didn't even have to. It could just come right out.
Yeah.
So that's what I don't think. I think it's almost irrelevant. I think the cage is almost irrelevant. I think, and I wish it is irrelevant because it doesn't really matter whether it was in. Who says someone didn't let it out? It doesn't really. Maybe someone left the door open. It doesn't really matter, right?
Right.
I don't think. But the cage that it was supposedly in, it could just crawl right out the vent where the air hole was, unless it was so big it couldn't fit out a Patrick's regular fan hole. Where the air goes out.
Right.
So
if it was so big it couldn't fit through that. But I never saw the size of it. So, but if the size they're claiming it to be, it could definitely fit out, no problem.
Now, was the snake held in this setup since day one, like when the facility got it in like 2002, 2003, or was it moved into this place?
Well, I only know what you guys know about that because I only know what the news reports would say, and everybody's all over the place. So I don't know when he got the snake.
Yeah. Okay. So what was your impression like when you walked in there? Was the facility well kept? What was the condition of the animals?
I wasn't. This is definitely a different case than some of the other ones. So I wasn't there for that reason. There wasn't a war to fight.
Right.
In that manner. So I wasn't there to judge, but I can tell you that definitely at one time this guy had amazing building skills, and he must have, he jerry-rigged electrical stuff. The whole place was jerry-rigged, and he had some really nice. Like I was wowed too. Like there was a lot of stuff, a lot of big cages for a private guy. Like back in the day when he first built it, I bet you it was awesome.
Right.
It was. It must have been. If that was built in the early 90s, that was pretty cool.
How many species do you approximate were there?
I don't even think I could tell you. With the fish, I couldn't even tell you.
What about just reptiles?
Lots.
Yeah. Was there any other, were there any large animals? I've been hearing reports of crocodilians and other pythons.
There were no large pythons at all. There were rumors that there was green anacondas that were, all different sizes, but big. And no sign of that. And if it's in that house loose, I don't think anybody will ever find it unless they tear it down. So it's that big of a place. Right. All the alligators were adults, that's for sure.
Wow. How many were there?
There's a lot of stuff in there. There were 4 adult alligators that the New Brunswick government decided that they can't place anywhere else. And, I can't just throw things in. I could have taken them, sure, no problem.
Right.
We drained the pool. Then again, that was a problem, getting it drained before their warrant expired, right?
Right.
But we could have got them. We could have taped them up, put them in the truck, and then I get back to our facility, and what do we do with them? We don't have a cage, so why are we going to take them? If we can't I couldn't find a place on the way down there that would take them, and I know there's 2 other ones out west in zoos that can't get rid of them, so that's 2 alligators already in, I'm not going to boast about accreditation or anything like that on a herp show. Everyone's got to boast about something. But the British, obviously you guys all heard that the snake, where it came from. You've heard about where the crocodiles come from. It's all over the news. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
We've heard, from the news reports
that it's going to hit the fan. So
the news reports that we've heard state that the actual government had placed a lot of these animals with him. Okay.
True.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I guess that's what you were saying. So it's an interesting perspective for sure. How many animals? So how many? You were there specifically to move some animals out, and then also to point out which animals were illegal. What kind of illegal animals were there?
No. Only from their list. So
from their list.
We had a list of. Yeah, they had a list which mostly Kyle looked at most of the time.
Uh-huh.
But the list, because I was too busy trying to be a little investigator and figure out what happened, and taking pictures, doing this, and talking to every cop, and looking. I was doing all kinds of stuff on the phone with reporters. I was doing my thing, trying to figure stuff out. But So there's lots of information for one day, or I don't know what I could do with it, or if I ever could. Yeah, that's all one-day stuff, right?
Right.
So I guess your question, I'm so tired, I forgot.
Sorry, dude. No, my question is just how many illegal animals were actually there?
Oh, that's right. So what they have is they have a list of, bearded dragons, corn snakes. They have a whole list of these things that are allowed.
Okay.
And if it's not on that list, Kyle, which way does it go? Which way does it go? If it's not on the list, it's allowed, or which way is it again? On the list is allowed.
Okay.
And then there's the list is idiotic. I don't know who made that list, but like you're allowed to have a tree boa, but you're not allowed to have a green tree python. Like, who made that list?
Right.
Like, so some of the shit was really stupid, you know what I mean? And we had a list from that we received from, I guess I'd just say, officials instead of who it was. And we get down there and almost nothing was the same. They identified like a green iguana and an alligator. That was about all they did.
These are the professionals.
Go on, ask more stuff. Well, that's what I'm told.
Right. Okay. And so if the animals were deemed illegal, they either had to be placed in an accredited facility or they were destroyed, is what I've last heard. Is that true?
Well, that's what the government wanted. They didn't want to make another mistake. The governments didn't want to make another mistake, and I guess with all with all this going on, I don't think anybody wants to make a mistake.
Gotcha. Right. It's understandable.
Right? So,
right.
There might be someone out there saying, "Oh, I can take him, I can do this," and I bet you there is. But does that mean the actual provincial government of New Brunswick is going to send them there? That's up to them.
Right.
That's up to them. I'm not God out here. It's the government. So whoever is there yelling out there that, so anything else?
No, dude, listen, thank you very much. I know you must be exhausted. I appreciate you coming on the show and letting us know, what's going on.
I can't wait actually I can't wait to hear your assessment of all the reports because you do such a good job. I listened to another herp radio show, Dan Crawl or something with Jay Brewer, and it was like, why don't you guys ask some questions from some of the guys up here? They're doing awful. I don't know what they're doing on that show, but I'm surely going to listen to it again. So I'm actually going to try to stay awake to listen to your assessment of all the news and you nitpicking away at it. I can't wait.
Thank you.
That's I'm definitely try to stay awake for that, and I'm just going to die here. So then I got to deal with all this crap. Help these things out.
Listen, thank you so much.
Guys.
Thanks for offering your services over there and to helping clear things up. It's good to know that there's a professional out there kind of knowing what's going on. So thank you. All right, Bry, get some rest, man.
Take care,
Good
bro.
luck, everybody. Bye.
The Eagle, ladies and gentlemen, Bry Loyst from Indian River Reptile Zoo with some compelling information, really.